friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tati and today I am going to be talking about my 2021 reading goals. So, last year I made a whole ass video about the books that I needed to read in 2020 and it didn't go well. It didn't go as well as I wanted it to, I should say. I'm a very big mood reader, and even though I sometimes make reading goal lists that I don't call TBRs because I hate calling them TBRs because then I feel like I need to read them that month, but then I don't. So I just call them reading goal lists, but they're like very fluid and very like whatever. If I don't finish them, it's fine. If I do, that's fine as well. But I made a whole ass video about the books that I needed to read in 2020. And there were 8 books on that list, and out of the 8 books, I managed to read 3 of them. I read 3 out of 8. That's almost half, but yeah. So it didn't go as well as I wanted it to, but that's okay. I'm not gonna feel super terrible about it either. But when I was thinking about reading goals for 2021, I decided to take a different approach and leave it a little bit more open so that I could have a higher chance of actually achieving all the goals that I want to achieve. So instead of making a list of books that I need to read by the end of 2021, I have made a 4-point list of things that I want to accomplish. There are 4 things that I want to accomplish in 2021. I want to make a substantial dent on my physical TBR. 2020 was the year that I really got back into reading full force. Previously to 2020, I was a student at university. I got a bachelor's degree in English literature. So I was reading for school, but I wasn't really reading for me. And in 2019, I set a goal that I wanted to read 25 books throughout the year, even if some of those were school books. And I accomplished that goal. I read 26 books. It was amazing. In 2020, something came over me. And well, I don't fully know the full tally right now because this is towards the end of December that I'm filming this, so I haven't finished my reading for the year. But right now I am at 97 books, and I'm really trying to get to 100 just because I like nice round even numbers. So I really got back into reading in 2020, and even though I already had a substantial physical collection of books, I got way more. So I want to make a substantial dent on my physical TBR. That is the first thing that I want to accomplish. I don't know what a substantial dent on my physical TBR means, truly. I don't have a number to give you. I just know that I want to try to read more books that I already own rather than buying them. So we'll see how that goes, because I still like buying books. It's the only vice I have left, okay? I gave up drinking, I don't smoke, literally the only vice I have left in this life is buying books. I want to make a substantial dent on my physical TBR. And physical TBR, I am also including ebooks that I already own, because that is, even though it's not physically here that I can show you behind me, I still own them. They're already on my Kindle, so I'm counting those. The other 3 goals that I want to accomplish pertain specifically to types of books that I want to read. So I'll explain. The second goal that I want to accomplish in 2021 is to read more books in Spanish. I have a whole half shelf of books in Spanish that I haven't really picked up. Spanish is my native language, but I don't read in it as often as I read in English. That is to say, I don't read in Spanish basically ever. And I want to change that. I want to read more books in Spanish, so it's gonna take me a while to get through them because I don't read in Spanish as quickly as I read in English. And I'm keeping that in mind, so I'm trying not to be too hard on myself. But I want to read more books in Spanish. Third thing that I want to accomplish is that I want to read more classics. So I have a whole shelf of classics right on top of this one, actually. I have a bunch of the Penguin cloth-bound classics. They're beautiful, but I also want to read them. I don't just want them for the aesthetics, I also want to read them. So I want to try to read more of the classics that I already own. And the 4th thing that I want to accomplish is that I want to read more nonfiction books, because I have at the top of this here bookshelf, I have a full shelf of nonfiction books that I've barely touched. And so I want to make a dent on those as well. So I'm thinking that because I have 3 like types of books that I want to read more in this year 2021. I think that the best way to do it and not be super hard on myself is that rather than setting specific books that I need to read, I'm gonna set an amount that I want to try to read. So if I can read 4 books in Spanish, 4 nonfiction books, and 4 classics this year, I will consider myself very happy and having achieved all these goals. I'm setting up these goals because there are things that I genuinely want to do and reading habits that I want to instill in myself. I have plans for 2021 and I want to read more nonfiction because I actually write more nonfiction than what I write fiction. So I think it's kind of important that I read nonfiction in order to be able to write it. So I want to read more nonfiction. I want to read more classics. There's some classics that I also want to reread. So I want to like reread some of Jane Austen's novels because I really enjoyed those when I read them. And I want to develop my Spanish reading skills because I am not good with reading novels in Spanish at all. So yeah, I'm gonna give myself the time to read them and take as much time as I need and as many books in between as I need. But those are the 4 things that I wanna accomplish in 2021. Those are like my 4 big goals. Dent on the physical TBR and then read from those 3 like specific book categories. So yeah. I hope that by not setting a very strict list of books that I need to read this year, that'll help me actually get through these books because I'm a very big mood reader. I like to just sit in front of my shelf for a moment and decide what I'm in the mood to read and what I feel like reading rather than being told what I have to read. So I get that enough from university, so I don't need to like do that to myself. So I'm hoping that just choosing 4 goals and then leaving them wide open to be filled as I want throughout the year, that'll help me actually accomplish these goals rather than failing epically like I did with my list of books that I needed to read by the end of 2020. The books on my list of books that I needed to read in 2020 were The Forbidden Game, which is a trilogy, which I read the entire trilogy throughout 2020. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which I read in October. Unhoneymooners, which I read in May. Then there was The Book Thief, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, The Divine Comedy, Elizabeth is Missing, and La Sombra del Viento. I didn't do that well with the list. I read 3 out of the 8 books, but it's fine. I'm not gonna be too hard on myself about it, especially because I did attempt to read 2 of the books on the list. I just DNF'd them at one point or another just because I wasn't in the mood, I wasn't liking it, whatever. Some books on that list will be on hold when I move. Elizabeth is Missing. I got a few chapters into that book and I just realized that it really wasn't for me. I really wasn't enjoying it and I was just gonna force myself to read it because it was on the list rather than because I wanted to read it. So that one's getting unhauled when I move in a couple months. Another one that I'm gonna give a final attempt in 2021, and if I just can't, I'm gonna unhaul it, is The Book Thief. I have both the audiobook and the physical copy for this book, and I've tried so many times to read it, and I just cannot get through it. I get a few chapters in and I can't. So I've decided that I'm gonna give one final attempt in 2021, and if I can't do it, it's getting unhauled. Those are the main 2 books that I'm probably gonna unhaul depending on how it all goes. Everything else from that video that I didn't read, so Turtles All the Way Down, The Divine Comedy, La Sombra del Viento, those 3 are staying on my shelves for a future read. But Elizabeth is Missing is definitely getting unhauled, and The Book Thief is in danger of being unhauled, depending on how my last attempt goes in 2021. So yeah, thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Come yell at me in the comments. Be sure to support your local indie bookstore. I've been Tati, and I will see you on the next video. Okay, bye!